People, it's a day before the AP World Exam, and as I look at more and more DBQs and questions about how to frame a thesis or your contextualization, I wanted to just give you a couple quick tips that hopefully won't throw too much of a wrench in what you've been doing, but they may help you on the day of the exam tomorrow. Okay, so one thing I've noticed that a lot of students aren't taking advantage of in these DBQs is the time. Every DBQ is going to give you a time period, and it's usually somewhere around 100 to 150 years of stuff happening in a certain place. So one thing you can do with that time is sort of note the documents and the progression as it goes further and further along that timeline. So typically on a 7-document DBQ, you're going to see a range of documents starting earlier in the time period and ending later in the time period. With a 5-document DBQ, it's no different. And so you should observe maybe what's changing, perhaps, over that time period. And you can use that in your argument. So when the phrasing of the prompt says, evaluate the extent, how much, blank, you can use that time to kind of evaluate that, right? So it was this much earlier, it was this much later. So it was, they did it a lot here at the beginning, a little bit less towards the end, whatever that may be for that prompt, but use that time period that they give you as kind of, benchmarks to track the extent that something is taking place. It's a really easy way to frame your argument, and I highly suggest you do that. Another thing I want to add to that is that this is a really good opportunity for you to incorporate your complexity point. I have other videos on complexity, but I just want to say this. Because the time frame is limited, it's short, and a lot of them are ending right at the end of the time period that our class ended, which is 1900. You have this opportunity to go beyond the time period into the early 20th century. And I think that's a great way to get complexity, because very often you can discuss the same topic, the same place, and the same basic ideas in there just after that time period ends. So if you're talking about imperialism in the Indian subcontinent up until 1900, guess what? Stuff was still going on there in the same topic right after 1900. In fact, you don't see Indian independence until the mid 20th century. So you could easily weave your argument into that other time period, which is a great way to get complexity. The key is you can't just say, and then this happened. You have to extend your argument. So if it's based in a political AP theme, like the Indian imperialism one, then you need to stay in there. If it's economic, you should probably weave in the economic implications into that new time period. But again, use the time that is given to you, the time frame that is in the DBQ prompt, to frame your argument and hopefully even get that complexity point. I hope this is helpful, people. You got a little bit of time before this DBQ, but you can do this. Talk to you later on.